at how these issues perhaps can relate and how the PEP can, how it relates to the PEP, how the PEP can do differently or do better, if you will.
My biggest concern, what I was mulling over earlier, is the fact that our electoral system and our constitution really does need an amendment. We need amending how we vote people into office. We need to amend how we remove people from public office. We have in Trinidad and Tobago what is effectively an elected dictatorship. And that means for 5 years or less, if they decide to call an election, you're stuck. There is no mechanism in our law, in our political system, to remove a rogue government. And right now,
so dare I say it, you would support a recall?
We definitely we say that as the first act of a progressive empowerment party government, that the first act we will take is to institute recall as law. And you need it because it's not a real democracy if politicians could just do what the hell they please and have no accountability. They have this nonsense floating around Trinidad that they're going to jam people, jam them hard financially, take care of all their finances, and then 1 year, 6 months before the election, start to bribe people with taxpayer funds and get them to forget, because you know Trinidadians and our 9-day mentality. But all that is well and good politically, but we're not supposed to be dealing with politics here. We're supposed to be dealing with governance here. And from a governance point of view, the government is failing. And the government is failing very, very badly.
Good governance. They spoke many times about good governance, but the meaning of good governance is not the meaning that we see right now. They had their own meaning to it. I remember I did explain to you what good governance was. Bottom line, foundation of good governance is transparency in all your dealings, and we're just not seeing that.
Brother, I want to say this, the average Trinidadian does not have access to proper education for their children. The average Trinidadian doesn't have access to proper health care for themselves and their family. The average Trinidadian doesn't have access to affordable food so they could properly take care of their family. The average Trinidadian will never own a home. The vast majority, more than 80% of this population, will never be able to own a home. They have no access to affordable homes. That's why there's a lot of things. But they have no access to affordable homes. They have no access to financing for starter homes for families. The average person in Trinidad now has no security. We are at risk. The country feels like it is running aground. People are actually begging for a state of emergency, and I'm asking them, this government that you do not trust, you will trust them to suspend your civil rights? And I know that Christmas sales and Carnival is the only thing protecting government from a knee-jerk reaction and a state of emergency, and I fear that straight after Carnival, that's where they're going.
When you say Christmas sales, what exactly? So you're seeing buoyant, good sales, businesses doing well financially?
The business community needs their sales, and if you have a state of emergency, they wouldn't have it.
Okay, I understand that.
And the business community is who owns these governments, these political parties. So they dictate. But a state of emergency is not what this country needs. This country needs management. This country, and I keep telling Trinidadians that we forget that Trinidad, you could fly around Trinidad in a helicopter in less than 2 hours. Trinidad doesn't qualify as a borough or a county in a developed country. Trinidad is a dot. And our 6,000, 5,000 police officers that we can't manage. Imagine the mayor of New York City and one commissioner manages 65,000 police officers. We can't manage our little handful of 5,000. We are having difficulty handling a little court system with all the judges and all the people that are involved in case management. We can manage this little tiny court system in this dot, this postage stamp of a country. When you look at the globe of Trinidad and Tobago, there is no way to indicate that there is an actual landmass here. It is so small.
And the root problem in all of this is, I would say, corruption.
I wanna agree with you that corruption is a serious thing, but more importantly, we've come to a point where the politics has lost its way. And the people are not given the representation that the Representation of the People Act intended. So what we have is what, and I like to call it stunting. Stunting is going on right now. In place of governance, you have a breakdown in parliamentary debate, and it has spilled over into the public space where the UNC is using its social media arm to attack the government. The government is using paid political full-page ads to attack the opposition, both of them making outlandish claims and ridiculous statements, and nobody addressing issues. Nobody addressing issues like this. All these people who committing all of these petty crime that has the country feeling so unstable, and are including in this a lot of these murders that taken place. Somebody wrote an article and he said, government does a disservice by calling all crime and all murder gang violence, because all of it is not gang violence. And that
the reason everything suddenly is gang related now, because they're trying to prove a point that they wanted the
anti-gang law.
Yeah,
but the fact of the matter is the country has 90 chapters of law. The country has extensive law that could be used. I mean, I want to tell you something. You could use Tech alone to bring the gangs to heel. You could use WASA. You could use but you know I will. Okay. You could use the Tax and Revenue Office. You could use any of the laws that exist. All you need to do is identify. The power of state is onerous already, you know. And all you need to do is identify the people who are suspected of being involved in criminal gang activity. But this law that was written, and the reason that we all stood so vehemently against it, is this law was trying to be passed under the guise of treating with gang violence and crime in the country, when what this law really hoped to do was to convey onto the current government totalitarian, draconian, fascist dictatorship powers. Adding sedition to this law made no sense. Adding sedition to this law made no sense. But there are a group of people in this country engaged in high-level criminal enterprise that don't want you talking about them. We are seeing a rise in defamation lawsuits. People, you can't talk. Look at Kirkwaite and Angostura. Angostura served Kirkwaite a pre-action protocol letter. So that means they believe that he is defaming Ralph Balgobin. Cool. That's your position. It is before the court. But that doesn't mean Kirkwaite cannot speak. According to how the defamation law is being processed in Trinidad, they say that once they hand you a pre-action protocol letter, shut up. Yeah. So if you think about people who are doing wrong in society at the level of government in a nation where there is nobody for the average person to go to and say, hey, somebody told me that he made a report about a situation that involves human trafficking, and that he believes that the person that he has to make the report to is the person who is involved in the human trafficking. Yeah. We are involved, we are in a situation in a country where the only thing the people have left to do is talk. And if you allow people to manipulate law enforcement, system of justice, administration of justice, where the people can't even speak out, I want to tell Trinidad and Tobago something. Colm Imbert made a joke at the IMF when he said the people ain't riot yet. But if this government feel that they're going to put the people of Trinidad and Tobago in a pressure cooker and leave them there, Martin Luther King Jr. said, a riot is the language of the unheard. That is the voice of the unheard. We do not need Trinidadians to riot. We don't need that. Exactly. I tell people all the time. All this talk, people talk this knee-jerk reaction, but burn this down, burn that down. I say, and who living in the ashes? The same people that you're going up against, they don't have to put up and endure with the further misery you will cause yourself if you disrupt society. So disrupting society shouldn't be an option. People just need to understand the power of their vote, the power of their consumption, and the power of their labor. If there was a
consumption in the Peterson, it's now 11:15 people. I'm speaking with Philip Alexander here. That time check comes to you, of course, courtesy of the Superstore in Arima. Now, I wanted to say the Ralph Balgobin situation, the Angostura, he's trying to shut him up because...
And they serve him another letter.
You know, maybe he's a little embarrassed that he can't walk down the corridor and bring me across to the other side. He go in a room they want to leave. You know, they feel a little uncomfortable because they know whatever happens, he can practically do anything he wants to them. And then if they speak out, they'll get fired.
No, Kevin, the point of the matter is this. It is a matter in the public space. When I stepped into the public space, and made myself available to talk on public issues, I had to accept that there would be pushback from people who do not agree with me, and that things will be said about me. And I can't sue everybody who says something bad about me, because I personally don't have the funds for that for lawyers. But more importantly, I'd be in court every day.
Yes, you would.
People say the most disgusting things about people, and they usually say it about people who they consider a threat. But that's not what's going on with Kirkwaite and Angostura. And Kirkwaite and I are not friends. And I do not support fixing TNT. And the people who follow me know that I don't support Kirkwaite and I don't support fixing TNT, but I support freedom of speech. And there is a statement that was made, and it says, I may not agree with what you say, but I will fight to the death for your right to say it. And that's my point still. That the cybercrime law that Faris Al-Rawi brought to the parliament months ago tried to do the same thing this anti-gang law is trying to do now. And I worry about Faris and his reckless legislating.
We just need to keep the dissenters quiet.
How do you fire your...
go against our plans. We don't want that.
How do you fire a rogue attorney general in this country? Who do you go to and complain? We have an office of the president that costs this country... But exactly, but it costs the country hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Why doesn't the president have power to mediate and intervene in situations where the public believes certain members of government are misusing the powers conveyed on them by the Constitution? There are police officers who are misusing the power conveyed upon them by the Constitution. Who do we go to? Who do we turn to and say, hey, this is a real situation, that the people have concerns here? Who do we turn to?
All right, it's about that time for us to take a quick break. When we come back, Robert Amar is going to join the discussion right here on Sense and Sensibility.
You had missed the WhatsApp phone the other day. You missed the WhatsApp phone.
This is my phone.
I saw it someday, but it's been unplugged a while now.
Somebody take it.
The little blue phone?
There's a phone in
There are little phone
I
on the
thought I
ground.
was on the ground.
All the time.
Was it?
The blue phone's still there. I see him.
Anyway,
Where's the other one?
good morning, Robert. Remember, we live on Facebook Live. So, get back on that.
Finally, boy.
No, well, you know how long I had this, but I was waiting on that.
Without a stand.
You need to have a stand.
Yeah,
You see?
that's a real good stand.
It's stable, it's steady.
The camera style. Let's go.
And look at the name of this now. Man Toto. Anyway, yeah. Anybody watching me on Facebook Live, call my mother and tell her that I'm live on 104.7, so I can't take her call right now. Again.
They want cake or doubles or something.
Yeah, my mother called for doubles, I'm sure. It's that time of the day.
This is real good.
But you know, this, you control this from a smartphone or iPad, right? You just turn that on and then all the other controls happens on an app that you download.
Okay.
It'll tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
But if they teeth and phone in here, what are you going to do with that?
Shoot the person that did miss it.
I mean, you need to secure that though.
But we have the cameras and things working now. We just have to install them in the locations that we have and run over the wiring. So hopefully we get that done.
Well, this have a very long power cord, and that's all that needs to be plugged in.
No, we don't need the pipe and then we have power.
Yeah.
What we have again?
MacArthur's the M1047 cooler.
Right.
Feel free to share the video. We're live at 104.7. We have a nice knock on wood feed going today. We're taking
Green Dot sale.
they're on an advertisement break. But you could share the video with others. We're on 104.7 with Kevin Freitas and Robert Amar. You got on to my brother-in-law?
He called me. So I'm talking to the guy right now because he was looking at not a new one, but a recondition.
But he's still the person to talk to, so let him know that, you know, because he does that.
Yeah.
And he could always swap things out.
Right, so let's get back inside of Sense and Sensibility. 11:20 is the time, which comes to you courtesy of Facades at the supermarket.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. You know, we always leave them out. We cannot leave them out. Trinidad and Tobago, until they succeed or get internal self-governance, they're a part of Trinidad. We are the big brother, and they have to listen.
The ocean floor running this.
Well, I'm almost certain the ocean floor. As a matter of fact, I think I might get an invitation to go test run the ocean floor. I think I'm going to captain that.
I would suggest you take your own life jacket.
Take my life jacket.
Have somebody, no, hire a boat to run alongside the ocean floor, so that in case it break down, you could climb off the ocean floor into that boat and get back to where you're going.
So get a pirogue.
No, what's you can jet ski.
See what we have to laugh at? You see what we have to laugh at? That we watch corruption start from the start.
I laugh at it.
We watch from April when the Superfast Glacier first reared its ugly head. When that broke down, we watched them deal with TerraJet. We watched them turn down TerraJet, deal with this madness with Bridgemont's Trinidad. We watched all the corruption that came out of that, all the allegations, wild rumors. To this day, 5 investigations later, Cabo Star and the ocean flower.
Don't leave out that we also watched the Prime Minister go before and very strongly boasted that he'd gone before the Parliament to give an account.
But he said that there was corruption in the ocean flower. And the ocean flower is still here. And now it's going to be pressed into service. And this, and I keep educating Trinidadians, this government uses something called shock doctrine. And what shock doctrine is if you want to get a contract to build a staircase where there is already a staircase, break down the staircase and put a shoddy ladder and leave them cussing and complaining about that ladder for about 3 months.
And then people must slip,
people must fall down, and then you must announce, Charles have a fantastic automatic staircase and he will install it in 24 hours, and then nobody will slip or fall off that shoddy ladder ever again, and the people will say yes. Government
ocean flower.
And nobody asks. It's like when there was this sinkhole by the lighthouse and Emmanuel George under the UNC pelt out that contract, and they asked him how much it's costing to fix this hole. He said that doesn't matter in an emergency. But the emergency has passed.
And we've like the emergency powers that Rohan got to. They had a problem, and he just bypassed. They have no kind of tender, nothing. He just picked up, and that's how we got the ocean floor. He just picked up.
But worse, the corrupt boats are being pressed into service, and the safeguards, the constitutional safeguards, have been removed. So now the Port Authority of Trinidad and Tobago is being paid money for nothing. The board is being paid money for nothing. And the cabinet is in the business of procurement. We have gone past the inmates running the asylum. Right now, there is nothing preventing the cabinet, because it is now himself to himself.
Yeah, taking a decision.
But worse,
taking a subcommittee.
Imagine if you stand up and say that the procurement that the cabinet engaged in was corrupt. It is the cabinet to decide if they agree. Yeah. And it is the cabinet to decide if to call an investigation. If to call an investigation.
And appoint the investigator.
The country has gotten to a point where the insipidity of the lack.
Explain the word to the people. You know, you like this highfalutin thing.
Well,
we are speaking with people of regular means.
And those are the people that know these words more than me. To be insipid is to be devoid of naturally expected intelligence. And we are devoid of that. We've gotten to the point where we could laugh and joke because the people feel powerless. And it's either your choices have come down to either laugh and joke or burn tires. And to the people who are most affected.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Well, you know, Philip, the thing about it is we've been looking. Kevin has put together the outstanding list. It's one of the things that I'm saying to him, we have to create like a Facebook page, or we have to create some kind of medium
Yeah, but they have 100 of those.
No, that's okay. Whether they have 100 or 1,000.
Wassa now is renting from Faris. Wassa that just announced that they have a $5 billion shortfall.
But remember, there has been a big controversy about that in the newspaper.
But forget that.
With
Wassa.
with the numbers. We can't say forget
No, but I'm
that.
saying forget that in as much as I want to say this. The Attorney General that needs to address that is the landlord to Wassa now at 1 Alexandra Place.
Wassa is in one. Oh, you mean public utilities?
What?
No, Wassa can't be in public utilities.
Wassa is in 1 Alexandra Place and without a lease.
Wassa? You
Wassa.
Sure? Not public utilities is in 1 Alexandra Place.
I am sure that, well, from what I have been told, both of them now. So let us find out about that. Because 1 Alexandra Place has been requiring an investigation for so long. But the reason that the two parties will stand up in the parliament and play the out in one another, but nobody will call for an investigation, is because everything that transpired with 1 Alexandra Place dirties everybody. It dirties everybody. It dirties the PNM, it dirties the UNC. What Faris did, what Chandra Sharma did, what a lot of other people did, and the Nahus family not happy. Mikey Nahus, who is Faris' brother-in-law, tell me they're not happy about this. He said to me that that building has caused the family more stress and they could have gotten more rent.
Cancel the lease, they have the power to do it.
But at the end of the day, they rent buildings to government. But what has transpired, and one of these days, we should call Michael Nahus on the phone and let him speak to the nation as to what he had to endure with those two political parties. He get caught up in that too. And I heard a saying, and I wanted to share it with you. They say, never try to put a dress on a pig. All it does is get you dirty and it upsets the pig.
Well, we're not trying to put a dress on a pig. The bottom line is, as we were speaking this morning, we have been, over the last number of weeks, trying to identify where is the starting point to make the change or the directional or the reboot the country. Rebooting. Where is the starting point? You see, you and I have a lot of things that we kind of agree on, either wholly or partially. And I mean, if you're partially agreed, mean to say one person could concede and
we could compromise, yes.
And the other person, it's not like what happened with the gang bill, where it ended up with the government saying 4 years and the opposition saying 2, and the government didn't have the sense to say, okay, let's go with the 2, because we know for a fact in these 2 years we could accomplish ABC, because the sedition clause came out and some of the other things that you had.
Why they did put sedition?
Forget why they put it. It's
like aren't you concerned that you would try? If Faris bring a bill to the parliament today to regulate the amount of icing you're allowed to put on cupcakes in this country, read that law properly, you know.
You see, again,
somewhere inside of there, he will take away human rights while dealing with icings and cupcakes. Faris Al-Rawi, and they jokingly calling him Al-Baghdadi now, because you know his father was involved in Saddam Hussein's. They're from Iraq. And his father was involved in Saddam, with Saddam and something, the Northern Guard or some stupidness. So he used to teach martial arts to them, or some craziness. So, but it seems that Faris's only concept of government is freedom of speech is absolute as long as he is the only one that has it.
All of those things you speak about still does not give us a starting point. My interest as we move towards 2018 is to not worry about the frills. I don't care about the icing. The icing is not important. The cake quality is important. And Trinidad and Tobago, I think, is getting to that point where a significant amount of the population has agreed that what is happening in the country is unacceptable.
You read in NACTA poll? 87% of those polled. I'm saying it again, I'm saying it slowly. 87% of the people polled by NACTA want nothing to do with neither the PNM nor the UNC.
We are fully aware that that is a tendency.
61% of the people polled by NACTA said a brand new party is necessary and a brand new political dispensation is necessary to rescue Trinidad, that we cannot trust either the PNM nor the UNC to take us out of where we find ourselves today.
Okay, so let us acknowledge that, as a couple callers who call the program have identified and said, Robert, it's time for the country to find 41 new people. So let us start by at least saying that we need to do something to advocate that there is a requirement of finding 41 quasi-honest, as best as honest, as truthful as we can, because hey, to tell you that everybody is going to be 100% truthful is like lying to yourself. We know for a fact that it haven't got one Trinbagonian, excepting those who are not born yet, that have some kind of cocoa in the sun somewhere. Something wrong, either in their personal life, their business life, their social life.
But you need to also say this, that when you're born and grow in a society that is corrupt in nature, it is inherently corrupt, that you are presented with choices that only lead you corruption or more corruption.
No, I don't agree with you.
If you go to get, if you go to get,
your parents didn't bring you up that way.
And your parents didn't bring you up that way, but you're 17 years old and you go to get your driver's license, and the man is failing you.
But your parents...
The man is failing you, and you know you didn't fail, and he is failing you, but he is telling you, you don't have to fail.
I understand.
You're dealing with a country where your parents didn't bring you up so, but you and your three partners walking down the road after seeing a kick up in Globe, and a police jeep pull over and say, hey, always a gang. But you don't have to be a gang.
I am hearing you. That's
when you in a country.
That's in a hypothetical.
You are in a business. You go to the bank. You go to the bank and you tell the bank that your business has a $50 million value. You have a $10 million shortfall in revenue. Your payables are less than your receivables. You have a gap in cash flow. You need $1 million. And the bank manager telling you, I can't help you, but I could help you.
Philip,
Robert, you know all of those examples that I just made.
I am not disputing that, but that still does not carry us to the point of turning around the society. The society, as you say, from the NACTA poll, if we use that as a gospel, and we say, well, we are happy, the NACTA poll came and said they don't want either or. And I think that's a kind of temperature throughout the country, that if you ask anybody, boy, who you will choose between this party or that party.
Cancer and more cancer.
Yeah, the person will say...
Imagine you go to the doctor and he said, all right, you have a choice. Cancer or a heart attack. Because that's what we get every election. Yesterday, Fitzgerald Hines called me 8:30 in the night. And he called me proud that certain PNM sycophants have put in the public space that Philip don't like black people. And Philip said that the country would run better if the country had no black people. This is what Christian Hume, Alana Morton, and a couple other PNM diehard sycophants, this is now the angle they're coming from, because they realize that they're hemorrhaging supporters. That the Progressive Empowerment Party, and the message we're selling, that one nation under one flag, one people under one flag, every creed and race having an equal place, resonating. So they're coming now from the position of Philip ain't black. And Philip don't like black people. And all I can do now is fight that they are saying that on my track record. But it is too easy to damage people's character. And I want to know how a member of parliament could take pride in that kind of heinous and obscene behavior that passes for politics in this country. Worse, he is the member of parliament for which one? Laventille East or West? Which one now? He was the one and he's now the other.
Well, I can't remember. I think he's West.
He is as irrelevant as tips on a bull. He's made no difference to the people of one Laventille, so they put him to run the other Laventille, and he's equally making no difference.
You see, that was one of the things that Harvey Boris was talking about when he was saying there were replacements in the PNM of specific people, and he called names, including Fitzgerald Hines, because at one time he was the Minister of Works. And they were proffering that here what? They have removed that Trinbagonian, Afro-Trinbagonian, to put an Indo-Trinbagonian. But I don't think that he factored in efficiency and deliverables.
I'm not even ever going to look at it from that point of view. It's always going to come down to who can do best. Nylam Hippolyte won 22 of 25 nomination party groups in the PNM to be nominated as the candidate for Laventille West. Keith Rowley vacated that. Keith Rowley vacated that and foisted Fitzgerald Hines on them. So this is what PNM people who grow up decent and respectable This is the choice they have. Vote for Fitzgerald Hines, even though you wanted Dylan Hippolyte.
Take Gregory.
Take Fitzgerald Hines or take UNC, knowing, because the average person knows, UNC cannot come and build up Laventille West at the expense of Caroni East, because the UNC's followers, because it has been built on tribal politics. See, I didn't use the word race. It is built on ethnic politics.
Right.
The people are expecting not only that you will take care of them, we've sold the idea on the ground. They can't say this on the radio, but they sell this idea on the ground that we will take care of you at the expense of the other race. That's where they get this
At the other
ethnic group. We time now nonsense. That's where it comes from.
Yes, so again, with everything we say, we still haven't gotten a starting point.
But Robert, the obvious starting point is always the same. We have to face the fact that the country needs to reboot. The 41 men and women that we put into the parliament must be men and women that we consider to be men and women of significant character and ability.
But we come back to the point that out of all of the people in Trinidad, only the unborn ones we can speak like that.
No, I want to tell you this. We all in this country have had I don't want to call his name, had to pay a bribe to get his drivers their heavy T licenses because that was his only choice. That was his only choice.
Why?
Because he wasn't getting through.
But
Robert,
why? But why?
Because this country has deteriorated to the point where immigration could hold.
I want to keep you on the point of the license. Let me tell you why.
Because I cannot give you his details.
I don't want the details. I want to say to you that I think it has a lead person, which is the Transport Commissioner. And I mean, I know the present Transport Commissioner. I can tell you that he is not going to sit there.
I'll make a better analogy for you. I'll make a better analogy.
No. I want to deal with the real
But I
case.
don't know the Transport Commissioner like you do.
But that's not the point. Nobody have to know him. You keep asking.
I had an argument.
You keep asking the question, how do we take the approach of solving a problem when you don't know where to go?
My friend has no interest in being the one that is victimized. And you could go to the boss, you could go to the teacher, you could go to the principal and make your report. And you could get instant redress. But then at some point, you're going to pay for that in a country where the corruption runs deep.
So you think with the infrastructure already gangrenous, that unless we don't amputate or purge all of those.
Undo and redo.
Yeah, but that would mean to say
undo and redo.
Based on the system.
Undo and redo. Fire from the Transport Commissioner, come down. Fire from the Commissioner of Police. I want to tell you this. I tell Trinidad and Tobago this. Go Scotland Yard. Go FBI. Bring a team from the FBI and unleash them on the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. You have one job. Find all the corrupt and rogue police officers. People telling me police and give them information. They will get their information. That's their job and they know how to do it well. I've watched my brother work for Canada Health. Canada Health found the first pig in Mexico that had swine flu. They could trace to the first bird with SARS. These people are trained in forensic investigation and they know how to do their job. You need to arrest and charge every corrupt person in public service in this country, especially those with a badge. I want to ask you one question this morning on national radio, and I hope all the people who like to record and put out my little clips. If I know and you know that the rumor out there that the only way for you to get a firearm license legally in this country is to bribe somebody, how come the Commissioner of Police has never heard that? Worse, how come there are 7,000 applications duly approved by police stations after numerous investigations, after people went for their psychological and health profiles, and the police station in their community has visited their homes and their business places and have approved them and sent it on to the Commissioner of Police. 5,000 to 7,000 of them are sitting on his desk and cannot get approved. They're stuck. You've not denied them so that they could appeal the process. You just ignore them. Does the Commissioner of Police understand that that is creating an avenue for corruption? Now there are business people in this country who are alleged and rumored to be renting gun licenses out. That they will say, Robert Amar used my employee. And I have a security firm, so you're precepted. You understand what's going on in the country? These things have to be addressed at the point that the decision is made. The only person who can fix that at this point is the Commissioner of Police.
Okay.
And the Commissioner of Police can address those 5,000 to 7,000 applications,
True.
but also the Parliament has to decide if it is sensible that only the Commissioner of Police as a gun license.
No, I understand your feelings about this, and I think that you are heading in a direction that requires a rebooting.
Undo and redo.
We cannot undo and redo if your vision or your thinking is to undo and redo by pulling the plug out, taking out the hard drive, so to speak, and putting another. It wouldn't work in this.
If I were to give Robert Amar $2.5 billion, and I say there are 41 constituencies in Trinidad and Tobago that needs to be policed and secured. These 5,000 officers here, these 5,000 police officers here, let us re-interview them. Let us polygraph them. Let us test them for fitness. Let us investigate their past. Does their current living match their earnings? Let us put them through the rigor. And you separate out of that 5,000, 2,500 people just say, I'm willing to put my neck on a block for these. So these 2,500 are going forward with 41 new constituency developed police administrations responsible to the command center, whole Commissioner of Police. And these 2,500 police will be equally distributed throughout these constituencies to enforce law. Everybody knows in this country where you live, you know where the criminals are. You know where people go. You could ask pick up all these pipers. Pick up all those fellas begging for $5 by the traffic light. Take me where you buy your rock. Take me there. Start there. So you go and you arrest the man who's selling him the rock. And the man say, well, I don't make rock, you know. I don't distribute rock. I just buy and sell. Take me to your distributor. You reach by a guy who now controlling Diego Martin West. He's supplying all the blocks with rocks. You have him. You have a boss. I's just a wholesaler. Take me to the source of your drugs. Because along the way, you're giving these people easier sentences. Along the way, because what you want is Mr. Big. And when you get Mr. Big, you cut the head off of that. You've just broken all these blocks along the way, all the entire supply chain, and you've arrested Mr. Big.
See,
and that's just an example.
Yeah, the issue or the example that you've cited is not, what should I say, opaque. The reality is that I think the people who have the power, that have the intelligence, that is operating in that little minuscule position of getting from the guy who is the little drug man that buying the drugs, from the guy who is the distributor, go back to the wholesaler, go back to the producer, go back to the big man. I don't think that it cannot be found.
Ask this question. The inspector in charge of the police, the person in charge of this region, he don't know what I just know?
Again,
I not trained as a professional police officer. No. He have his masters in criminology. He don't know to follow the crime.
At the end of it all, the issue that you are missing, or the part of the link that you're missing, is whether, and I think you are aware of the answer like I am, it was intentional to leave it that way.
And that's the
okay.
point.
So
you just you make a statement there. So you are saying that for corruption to take place, it is not accidental. It is deliberate.
No, it is.
Somebody has decided that I will take advantage of this situation and allow corruption to occur.
Because like a prophet.
We've corrupted law enforcement. We've corrupted it.
Yeah, but
we could undo it.
No, but you have to come back and you see, Filipinos make these things sound as if though it's a walk in the park.
I'm not saying that.
No.
I am not saying that, but I am saying that if you wanted to end flooding, there are steps that you have to take.
Don't move away from the topic of criminality.
All right, then I'll give you this analogy, Robert. They say that if you want to go to China, take one step at a time. Just make sure you're facing China.
Okay.
Make sure you're facing China. So if you want an uncorrupted police service, follow the crime.
At the end of it all, follow the crime. Who is to give that instruction? Hey, you have the clip there with the Prime Minister when I had questioned him about errant police officers?
Wow.
And what he had said?
Who is to give the instruction?
Yeah.
The Minister of National Security.
Okay, so hold on there.
The tenor, the timbre, the tone of the nation is set from the cabinet.
You're getting to the closer point of
But
where
that's
the
the
real
point.
answer.
But that's the point.
The cabinet is not the answer.
Yeah, but the cabinet is a bunch of people that the prime minister has single-handedly chosen
Whether
to
he's
say.
single-handedly or not. Play the clip where he says he's the prime minister of Trinidad.
There is no
Hold on there now. Hold
There's
on.
no democracy in the appointing of a cabinet.
Forget about
Nobody
what
votes that.
Listen, Trump didn't have no democracy. The Japanese have no democracy. The Spanish have no democracy. What the hell are you telling me? The whole world wrong?
How could you say that Trump is literally reeling under the weight of democracy? Right now, if Trump quit that job today, I wouldn't get him wrong. But, and the world needs to accept this, Obama didn't get Saudi Arabia to roll back to pre-Khomeini fundamentalism with Islam. And ISIS and all of this done. Check it out, under Trump. Because they know that madman will wipe Saudi Arabia off the map. They know that. They know he wants provocation.
Okay, so when we
All of a sudden, the source
When
of the funding of Al-Qaeda and ISIS makes a public international global announcement that they are rolling back Islam fundamentalism to pre-Khomeini positions. We're now, everybody, moderate. Why?
When we come back, Philip, we jump all around the place, you know. I want to keep a little bit more focused today because this is going to make a big decision in the minds of the people as to what we have to really be, as you say, aiming for. We can't aim for 10 things. We have a whole elephant here.
I agree with you.
The last time I pushed that elephant in my mouth, not even the trunk could have fit.
Savage imagery.
All right? Well, you could say what you want.
No, but I'm telling you,
everybody understands.
you've had governments that call what they hit the target.
Again, forget about what governments say. This discussion is not about who is there.
The people that you want to make this decision.
This discussion is about where we want to go.
Okay, but the people that you want to make this decision must understand and they must hear clearly in unambiguous terms that you and I and people like us not only understand who is wrong, what is wrong, and how to fix
but
it.
You're beating up on the NACTA poll. Hold on.
We're taking a quick break here, folks.
Right, let me take the break.
How this is when you take the break again?
7:48.
Because we're 3 minutes over the time. How much is this?
$399 200. $299 200. $500.
Yes. The stand costs just as much as the camera.
Just as much as a freaking camera.
I better buy another camera.
But you need a freaking stand.
It will be under what? PM?
I don't know what is it on the...
No, well, typing.
So, we are on a commercial break. The conversation today is very stimulated. We are dealing with the issue here of stop the old talk and the misdirection and the deflection. Let us talk about the corruption and the crimes in this country at the level they occur at and trace them to who has the authority to fix it and put that person on blast. The Commissioner of Police has to be asked why there is corruption in the allocation of firearm users' license in Trinidad and Tobago. The only person who could solve that right now is him. He has the power and the authority to address the 5,000 or the 7,000 licenses on his desk now. And I, if given the opportunity, would find the last 500 people to get gun licenses in this country and ask them if the process was fair and transparent or if they had to pay a bribe. This is where the country has to go. And all the old talk and all the bacchanal aside, this is what you're going to have to start to stand for as governance. Because the people of Trinidad and Tobago have been accepting bullshit, stunting and excuses, passing for governance, getting caught up and sidetracked in nonsense conversations that do nothing to fix the thing. And I didn't get into politics for that. I am in politics to fix these problems, and at the end of the day, I promise Trinidad and Tobago and everybody hearing my voice that I will not stop until we get there. We're on a break for ads. We'll be back shortly.
But I am a citizen, and there's nothing wrong about domestic violence.
The clip performance is not there anymore.
Not him on YouTube?
What he wants in particular, I know what he wants. It's not there again. When Music Chest left, Music Chest probably took it to him. But it's not there anymore.
Please share the video. Let people hear this conversation today. This is important. Let them get involved in this conversation today. It is time to shine the light on all the people in this country who have power and authority and are allowing corruption to prosper. That is the problem. We are allowing corruption to prosper. The chief, the transportation officer, the immigration officer, the commissioner of police, these people have questions to answer. We have to ask them. I just showed Trinidad and Tobago how easy it is to trace from the spranger by the traffic light begging you for $5 to buy a rock, how easy it is to trace from him to the person importing cocaine into Trinidad and Tobago. We could fix this thing. We could find every unproductive, unperforming school teacher and fire them and replace them and get all our schools functional. Fire every school principal that don't understand their role and their responsibility. We could go through the entire healthcare sector and find out which doctors and which nurses playing the ass on the job. Find out where all the shortfalls. And I am not indicting every police. I am not indicting every teacher. I am not indicting every doctor. So don't come at me with bullshit. I am indicting that there are people in our system that are making life hard for all our people. And if we are going to fix Trinidad and Tobago, it must start and it must end right there.
East Avenue Bar and Lounge, Aruca, powered by 104.7, the official station for Stranded by the Pool, or call 752-9911. Stranded by
How much more?
Carnival Thursday.
Oh, 2 more.
Christmas is right around the corner.
When you all get numbers for shows on this station to find out what doing what. And I would like to know what kind of audience we have. The people following this live video, besides, no, I'm talking to them. Besides sharing it, you have a responsibility to get involved in the conversation nationally. You have to take this to the water cooler and the corner shop. You have to get other people duly informed. Our mission is to set them on fire with information, so that when political stuntmen and stuntwomen come to them to pander to them with high-sounding foolishness, they could confront them and put them on the spot and ask them, I don't just want to know your plan. Philip Edward Alexander said this could be done. Can it? If not, what do you propose? Because he shows us a start and an end. He shows us outcomes. He shows us timelines, deliverables. He actually shows who is responsible for what, where. And if there are shortfalls, where he would find and to augment. I am very serious. Bring the Federal Bureau of Investigation into Trinidad and put them on contract. Find the drug traffickers. Find the drug barons. Find the corrupt and rogue police officers. Bring all of them to justice. This is the conversation we need to be having. If you have had government ministers involved in crime in this country, charge and jail them, because this is a country that has been mismanaged, misled, and taken advantage of for 55 years. We not just want to undo and redo the country, we want to undo and redo the culture of criminality and seize.
All right, so let's get back inside a sense and sensibility.
We're back.
And the discussion can continue.
Kevin, we must also undertake that when we go after those who are the criminals in high places in this country, because we're very good at stunting, you know. We're very good at bringing an anti-gang bill to the parliament, but we're not good at bringing an anti-white collar crime bill to the parliament. We've had a Scott drug report in the 80s that they rubbished for whatever reason they wanted to rubbish it, but no government to date, despite us finding tons of cocaine coming from Trinidad and Tobago and billions of dollars of cocaine coming from Trinidad and Tobago, we've never had a government to date. All the stupid money we've spent on commissions of inquiry into all kind of foolishness, we've never redone a commission of inquiry into the drug trade in Trinidad and Tobago. And Robert Amar, I am telling you, that is where we have to start.
Okay, so let us agree that that is where we have to start. It still comes back, because you preface that by making a statement, we have never had a government in Trinidad and Tobago that has taken this kind of action. Something is required for that action to happen, because we have a docile society.
Yes.
We have a society in Trinidad and Tobago that if you even serve their house get breakdown, they will not do anything except cry and say all kinds of things.
Because they've never had leadership.
Right. So we're heading now to the directional change You started by talking about cabinet and the role and the this,
No,
but
I'm
it
just-
is
I
controlled
always-
by a person who is the leader.
Yeah, but okay.
And in
I wanna hear where
Trinidad
you're
and
going.
Tobago, we still have a leadership crisis.
And I want to say,
No matter what you do, whether it's police, whether it's white collar crime, whether it's banking, whether it's the
no.
banking
I want to
and
disagree
business.
with you. I want to tell you this. The system's supposed to be greater than the government. The system of management that runs this country is supposed to be greater than the people who hold office at any point in time.
While
The
I
system
want
is
to
supposed to be
agree.
self-correcting. You've created a group of companies. If somebody is involved in any sort of larceny in your group of companies, there is a management structure responsible. You're not supposed to go and look for who thief your phone. You're supposed to look for the
Right,
manager in charge of the company
but
to
Philip-
make sure how you come you couldn't account for my phone.
Philip, mash your bricks. Anyhow you take it, the check and balance,
The
and some
stop-
of
the
those
buck
things,
stops.
It stops with the
The
person
buck
in
stops,
charge,
yeah. Okay, fine.
But it also calls for the person in charge to have a level of diligence. You cannot tell me that they are aware that a particular house that does audits have gone ahead and done certain types of things. They have seen some sort of nuance in what they have done, wrongdoing if you want to call it that, or they did not live up to the expectation of the creed that they signed on to. And then you come back and you still get them more work.
I sat on the wrong table with Keith Rowley and Faris Al-Rawi and David Abdullah and Ansel Roger and about 50 other people. And we met in Ambassador Hotel. And I remember Keith Rowley telling the entire room, the table, the round table, of how he is certain. And Keith Rowley told the people how he is certain the SIA is monitoring his phones. You bring all of those people, Roger, Abdullah, Faris Al-Rawi, I'm in the room with them, and they will tell you that Keith Rowley told us in that room how the SIA was tracking his phone, how he knew they were tracking his phone. And now that he is in government, and I use this as an example, why has he not put anything in place to protect the average citizen, regardless of the position that you hold or the position that you aspire to prevent state-paid public servants in the SIA or any part of the security apparatus from abusing the power of their office? He's not done that. You keep saying that the Prime Minister is the most important person, and in this analogy, he is. But the real and most important person is the voter.
Yeah, but we can't spend time with them right now.
But you have to spend time with them because you have to give them a reason to say, you know what? I am going to try
Well, but let me
something
tell you,
different. Robert, it's not easy.
Philip, the NACTA poll says it all. 86 or 87%.
87%.
Said, and you said it very slowly, 87% said they didn't want the A or the B. At this stage of the game, the big 87% in the NACTA poll,
Vex.
all those people by the beach.
But
All
you-
those people
you-
by the beach. And let me tell you what is better. None of them have on clothes. And they are all very happy watching each other naked.
All of that is good.
All right.
Robert.
So
When you
and
give-
they now have a new car
No,
park.
but if
they,
you-
now, they now have a new car park.
If
They can park for free.
you are wrong to blame.
That was,
You're wrong to blame them because
I wrong to blame
I'll tell
them?
you why you're wrong to blame them.
Well, you keep feeling sorry
We've
for them.
put our.
now.
It's not about feeling
No,
sorry.
you keep feeling
It's
sorry
putting
for them.
ourselves in a position to educate, inform, and empower.
Yeah. Well, how much longer you educate? What degree we have to go to? Mars University now?
That's how we got to the 87%. The public is aware and they cock like Mapapi, waiting on those two parties. Come election time, my God, we've run out of time. Trinidad and Tobago, this show, 104.7, every Thursday at 11 o'clock. Time flies inside the hair like we're working at warp speed.
You better believe it.
Thank
People,
you,
I
Robert.
appreciate you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank the loyal listeners at 104.7, all the PEP followers that follow us. We closed for Christmas. As we close, we have no public meetings. We have a Christmas party. I hope you come in the Christmas party.
Well,
Saturday at 7 o'clock.
Kevin
Kevin is coming.
Should I go?
Kevin is coming.
If you go
Kevin
out.
is bringing his former mother-in-law. I spoke to Anne. I tell her make sure
Anyhow,
Kevin.
we gotta go.
Goodbye, Trinidad and Tobago.
All right. So.